of their life. I don't think either fighter has ever looked better than they look right now. So they're full of confidence. Two British lads headlining Wembley. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this for me. Like, all right, maybe AJ versus Fury would be better, but like, very few fights in the world right now am I more excited for than this. And to be going to Wembley with my boys on the paying game, sitting in that stadium, covering it live, 96,000 I think is going to be there. It's fucking insane. You already know I came from nothing, right? Literally, I've said it a million times, the iPhone on the iron board. You know, you have followed my journey. I've done some cool things before in the past. I'm very grateful, like even going all the way back to, we did this little influencer football game called the Wembley Cup that became something massive. Then Logan Paul versus KSI in Manchester, commentating on that was cool. Then to Riyadh season and being a part of everything that they've been doing, mental. LA, I never thought I would go to America in my life, to be honest, because I'm such a fucking miserable bastard. I don't really travel like that. But to do a show live from Wembley Stadium with the headliner as Anthony Joshua, the biggest fucking star we've produced in British boxing. Yes, you can compare Tyson Fury's skills and the records and all of that, but as a star, AJ is a fucking star, man. And this is a career highlight for me. And again, I know I will say it, without you lot backing me, turning up for these videos, supporting these live streams, I wouldn't be in this position today. So fucking hell, thank you so much. I am really up for this one. And before I forget, the link for the pay-per-view is in the description below. You can watch it live on DAZN through our link. Not only are you getting a great pay-per-view in HD quality and not having to do all that fuckery with these illegal streams, switching off the fucking adverts and restarting every fucking 5 seconds, but you're also helping the channel out, and obviously I'm very grateful for that. Now it's time for the face-off, and what I like about face-offs and pre-fight build-up is you do get a window. You do sometimes see little cracks appearing. We've seen it with Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. We'd never seen Fury not look the most confident man in the room until Alexander Usyk was in front of him. We did see a little crack appear in there, and it showed why when we seen the fight. And maybe between Dubois and AJ, because they have shared the ring a lot in sparring, we might see a few things in this.
I think he's the young guy. I think he's matured, and over the last few years he's had some great experience, and it's all gelling for him. He's had two really good performances in his last two fights against fighters who have come to fight, strong guys. One of the fighters was an avoided fighter in Hrgovic. You know, in the trade everybody was saying he's one of the best heavyweights out there, and he broke Hrgovic's heart.
You know what, I just want to piggyback off of that. The level of dog that Daniel Dubois showed against Hrgovic, to take a lot of punishment early on and to keep fucking coming, eating shots, keep coming. I didn't think he had that in him, really. Don't get me wrong, I knew he was a good fighter, but in previous fights, we'd seen him show a bit of quit against Joe Joyce. And I think if you're losing to a Joe Joyce, then a Hrgovic, logically, should have a bit too much for you technically. He showed he leveled up in that fight. And I've got to give credit to the coaches. Like, my God, could you fucking hear them? I was in the arena at the time, and I watched the footage back because I had a cameraman at ringside. They were given everything to tell Daniel Dubois all of the right things. So what a bit of progress he's made in a short space of time. Look at AJ. He's fucking... I love saying AJ like this, you know, because for a while there, he was very clean cut, very classy. And look, you got to look after the money, right? You got to get the brands coming in. You got to smile for the cameras. But this is the AJ we fucking love. That pissed off, moody AJ who's ready to beat the shit out of someone. And I think this is part of the reason why his performances have been so fantastic, is that spiteful puncher is well and truly back.
And for me, this is a battle of the heart and the minds. That's what it's going to be.
I kind of disagree with Frank. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, the will to win and desire, yeah, it's all important. It's all going to play a factor. But I think that the technical side of the game, when you get two beasts like this, whoever's got the right game plan, that could be where the winner comes from. And Daniel Dubois' coach, I think Don Schultz, he really believes he's got all the answers for AJ, because I think he's worked with him before. So could be interesting.
It's the worst time to fight Anthony Joshua, I think, of his whole career. He has the skill, he has the experience, and being back here, it's like being home.
I'm not disagreeing with Eddie. AJ is one of the best big fighters in the game. Like, his experience and how he has delivered time and time again under the lights, under the most amount of pressure, that's invaluable coming into a fight like this against a younger guy who's like 10 years younger almost, or 8 years younger.
Some have questioned some things about you, right? Your resilience. People have said he quits, things I completely disagree with. You've showed people now in your last two fights, you are the real deal. You are coming into your best, right?
Of course, you know, I was speaking about before, I was in I was in a dark place and I was going through some stuff, but I feel like I've been resurrected now. And
this terminology of quitting and being a quitter, has Daniel Dubois quit in fights before? In my opinion, yes. He has. Does that mean he can never overcome that and that he's forever a quitter? I think that's a limited way of thinking about it. We've all struggled at things before and gave up with it and then come back and tried again and improved and eventually stopped quitting. And I think that's very possible for Daniel Dubois to overcome that. I could be wrong, and maybe it is ingrained into him and that will come out when he starts taking punishment from AJ. I could be wrong. But the way he fought against Big Baby Miller, the way he fought against Hrgovic, he did take punishment. It wasn't easy. It was a fucking arduous, grueling fight that he had to keep coming forward and keep overcoming pressure, and he showed great will and determination in that. So I don't know if I pay too much attention to this idea that he's just a quitter.
The first 2 rounds of Hrgovic, how many right-handers did he catch with? I mean, I was getting off watching how many right-handers he got caught and even talking about it. That's resilience.
It is resilience. It is also stupidity. I don't mean this in a nasty way, because I really like Dubois, but him himself, he would have been disappointed watching back how poor his defence was at times against Hrgovic. So, on the one hand, credit to you. You took a bunch of right hands, you kept coming, fair fucks. But on the other hand, what the fuck were you doing taking all those right hands, pal? Because Anthony Joshua doesn't fuck around with his right hands. Are not going to feel like Hrgovic's. It's like getting hit with a pillow and getting hit with a brick. That's the level of difference we're talking with here. I'm not even saying Hrgovic is like pillow-fisted, but it's a gulf in power.
He gave Usyk his toughest fight up until the fight with Tyson. That was a tough night for Usyk at the end of the day, and then unfortunately.
I love that little look between, because you know what, AJ and Eddie, they're like brothers at this point. They've been working together for that many years. You know, when you're mates with someone, you don't even have to fucking say
anything.
Give them the look, and that little look there is basically saying hardest fight, bollocks. And you know what? I agree if that is the case of what they're saying, because. Don't get me wrong, Dubois did put up a good fight against Usyk, absolutely, but he wasn't his hardest fight. No fucking way. No. He's actually still. It's something about Frank Warren. He fucking really pisses AJ off, and I've noticed this. Like, obviously, AJ's team matchroom, and for years they've just been at loggerheads. And Eddie is like, look, Eddie's a bit of an older guy, right? So he's able to let go of the rivalry, let go of things that have been said. AJ is a competitive athlete. He's not letting go of anything. He deals in revenge. That's his business. He's never ever gonna like Frank Warren.
He's now shown what he's all about. He's only 26 now.
Yeah.
26 years later. That's a baby for heavyweight.
Baby.
Sure, how old are you now, AJ? What, you're 30?
24.
What are you now, about 35?
34.
34. So
Age will be a factor in this. Make no mistake about it. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on which side you're on. Because on the one hand, AJ's got a lot of experience, big fight experience, and that can only help him in certain situations. But on the other hand, if it does come down to a battle of endurance, stamina, we've seen Dubois got good stamina, and his age can only help him in that sense.
he is hungry. He can fight. I would never had any doubt in his ability. He can jab, he can punch, he's got good movement, he's fast. The only thing about it is in his head.
You know, I'll give Frank a pat on the back there, because as an athlete, we're not talking about boxing skill, technique, and, you know, boxing IQ, but as a pure athlete, Daniel Dubois is a fucking beast of a man. One of the best athletes in boxing in terms of heavyweight fighting, absolutely. The stamina that he has got, combined with the speed and power he's a fucking freak. Right? He's special, he's gifted. It's just the technical side of the game, the intelligence side of the game, that I think he's yet to fully grasp to the level of the elite. However, off the back of 2 fights that he's just had, he is learning, and that is going to come in time. It's just how long it takes him, and is he there yet?
Hrgovic was a feared fighter. You know, and people will look at that and say, well, he was out of shape, he had no pop in his shots, but everyone looks to do that. They like to diminish a win. But it was a big win, and it was the win that got him here. This guy's on a completely different level to Hrgovic you saw on June 1st, but he's young.
What I will say about that win against Hrgovic, from watching the footage that we captured when we were in Saudi, the brutality of it, the violence of it, it wasn't just punches being thrown. Dubois is a nasty piece of work when he's sticking his head right into the chin at times, and he's a roughhouse fighter, and that is going to be interesting, because AJ, he's got a bit of a temper, and if you try and fucking ruffle his feathers, You know, will he be able to keep it together game plan wise? And I think that's definitely going to be a part of
That's
the
true
game plan.
too.
You've got to unsettle him. You've got to get him not thinking as straight as he would like to be, right? Because AJ is a clever, calculated beast. You don't want him being calculated.
Frank talked about the right hands that he took. If he took one of them, there's a real problem. And he took 30 of them. And he showed a great chin and great heart, but not against.
Did AJ take them shots?
I think so. I mean, Hrgovic took them fine. So, you know, you never really.
Hey, they've got their own little look to each other. I do like that. I mean, look, Eddie said Hrgovic took them fine. I think he's misspoken there. Hrgovic, his face looked like a butcher had been at it by the end of that fight. I mean, he was bashed up. He didn't take them fine. It sucked the will out of him. That was a fight Hrgovic was expected to win. I think he was an undefeated fighter coming into that. He was very confident coming into that. And when someone's that confident, you've got to take their will from them. And Daniel Dubois absolutely fucking did that.
And there is my main man, True Georgie, on the Pain Game. And first of all, I like to cover True Georgie's podcast, especially boxing. You know, the Pain Game is dedicated to boxing. And it's a beautiful blessing of where you were versus where you are. You know what I mean? And he did a synopsis of where he was versus where he is. And now he is hosting, you know, the fight via DAZN and with his own individual link. I plan to go to the UK, you know, and collaborate with him one day soon. Okay. That's in the makings. However, this whole breakdown between Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua, you know, I did it last week when this video did post finally, because remember it was linked and then they snatched it back and then they reposted it, but it was a treat to see. And the reactions of True Georgie when, you know, when AJ looked at Eddie and Eddie looked at him, it was hilarious. Now, I stopped it there for a reason. Because True Georgie brought up a very, very good question. Like, when Daniel Dubois does lean in with those shots, because he is a roughhouse fighter, he's, you know, he chops with shots. Anybody that chops with shots don't give a damn how it's landed unless it, you know, as long as it lands. He doesn't matter if it lands pretty. He just wants it to land. He just wants to reach out and touch you, and that's exactly what he's about. He's not about precision. He's about destruction. And if he does headbutt AJ does have a temper. You know, can AJ keep it together? And I think an AJ that is unglued is a kind of a dangerous one, because you don't really know the degree AJ could be, or could, you know, you don't know what he could do. See, and I hate to use this analogy, but it has to be said. I remember when Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield, you know, and that was because of headbutts. And if you look at somebody like Daniel Dubois, you know, and that was one of the discussions and the arguments that people had, like, yo, Daniel straight up headbutted him a lot of times. So were all those punches, or those scars, should I say, those wounds, those abrasions, were they all due to just punching alone? Or was that some of them had a lot to do with those files about the headbutts? Because how he chops with shots and leans into them and leans his head into the shots, you know, after. So that's just a shot then met by a head, right? So, you know, how can Anthony Joshua, you know, deal with that type of stuff? That's what you ask yourself. That's the question. You know, because AJ may do some things like he did. And you guys remember the Jermaine Franklin fight where he fought Jermaine Franklin, and Jermaine Franklin really wasn't doing anything to AJ, not in particular, but dude, it really could have turned into a all-out riot. And that was all because of AJ and how AJ felt at the time. Now imagine you add a freaking file to that, you know, that could really go south. You know, but the whole the question is Anthony Joshua underestimating little boy Dubois? I don't think so at all. To counterpunch, I don't think so. Simply because, you know, yeah, he tried to check him at that face off. Yeah. And it was like AJ was talking to, like he was the older guy talking to a younger guy. I get that. But I don't see in any other interview where AJ responds to Dubois' ability as a form or a way of disrespect, underestimation, or anything like that. Okay, I think in what I've heard AJ say that yes, this is a particular fight that I take very seriously. I think real highly of Danny Dubois. And I don't just think he's saying that because he knows this is the only way that he can become a 3-time world champion. He has to take out the guy that allegedly put him on Queer Street. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of True Georgie by way of the Pain Game. Do his thing. Bars. Be sure I will drop the link to his live cast on that day. Of course, I will be going live myself. So, you know, as long as you bounce back and forth between the Pain Game and Counterpunch Boxing name, we will be all good. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!